Okay, no way. Okay, you're back. You're back. All right. I'm so glad to have you back. I have some amazing things in store for you today on this 2-box broadcast that you have now tuned into. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is a nice, spooky, cozy Saturday, and I have some hilarious and spooky new things for you today. We're changing it up a little bit on today's episode, and going forward, I'm going to be trying to do some more reading of stories, not so much, writing and reciting my own book. So, I hope you enjoy. Yeah, and without further ado, let's just get straight into it, alright? This first one is from a book called A Haunted Atlas of Western New York, A Spooky Guide to the Strange and Unusual by Amanda R. Woomer. And we're going to be reading just a couple of the excerpts from here. And it's a great book. Alright, so pick up a copy. The title will also be in the description. And, yeah.
As the name might suggest, the Pink House is a pink Victorian mansion nestled in the corner of the West State... As the name might suggest, the Pink House is a pink Victorian mansion nestled on the corner of the West State Street and Brooklyn Avenue. It may look like the home of a fairy tale princess or a 6-year-old's dream home, but in fact it was once the site of several tragic and mysterious deaths. According to the legend of the Pink House, a young woman named Frances Farnham was engaged to E.B. Hall, the man who built the Pink House. But as fate would have it, she was still in love with her childhood sweetheart, Hanford Lennox Gordon. Frances' father didn't approve of her affections towards Gordon, since he was nowhere near as wealthy as Hall. He forged a pair of letters and sent them to Frances and Gordon, successfully ending their relationship. There's quality parenting for you, right? The next time Frances saw Gordon, he ignored her. Unable to handle the pain of her broken heart, Frances drowned herself in the fountain of the Pink House. There is technically no hard evidence of Frances' suicide. Still, many believe that the Hanford Lennox Gordon's 1957 poem, Pauline, tells the story of the young woman's death.
Do you have that? Where can I get that? Let me look that up.
Still, many believe that Hanford Lennox Gordon's 1857 poem, Pauline, tells the story of a young woman's death. But it would seem Frances' was only the beginning of the legend that still haunts the Pink House to this day. As the story progresses, E.B. Hall went on to marry Frances' sister, Antoinette, and the couple moved into the Pink House with their 2-year-old daughter shortly after.
It's ice cold.
Betrayed by her sister and fiancé, the ghost of Frances led the little girl through the Pink House to the fountain where the child was found drowned the next day.
It's like Ben.
Interestingly, there has not been any recent ghost activity, and the current owners of the mansion, descendants of the Hall family, try to downplay the dark history of the house.
Guys, it's just a child. Freaking no big deal.
Whether the ghost of a scorned lover killed her niece out of vengeance or not, there's no denying the child died tragically in the fountain. It would seem that is enough to tarnish the reputation of the beautiful pink mansion in Wellsville. Experience private residence. Open to the public? No. Okay, so, yes, I found this story, Pauline, and I read it's just a war story for like 90% of it, and I think I found the bit that's supposed to be alluding to this Pink House, so I skimmed it a little bit. If this isn't the right part...
What are you going to do? Are you going to go find this, and are you going to read it? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so, I don't know, I read, like, up until here, basically. So... and I'm not happy about it.
One bright May morning when the robins sang, there came to school a stranger, queenly fair, with the eyes that shamed the ethereal blue of heaven, and golden hair in ringlets, cheeks as soft, as fresh, as rosy as the velvet blush of summer sunrise on the dew-damp hills. Hers was the name I muttered in my dreams. For days my bashful heart held me aloof, although her senior by a single year we were brought together oft in class, and when she learned my name, she spoke it to me, and then my tongue was loosed, and we were friends. Before the advent of the steeds of steel, her sire, a shrewd and calculating man, and lately come and purchased timberlands, and idle mills, and made the town his home. He was so well-to-do and growing rich, and she her father's pet and only child. In mind and stature, for 2 happy years we grew together at the village school. We grew together, eh? Our tender hearts there grew together till they beat as one. Her tasks were mine, and mine alike were hers. We often stole away among the pines, that stately cluster on the sloping hill, and conned our lessons from the selfsame book, and learned to love each other or our tasks, while in the pine tops piped the oriole. And from this branch the chattering squirrel chid our guideless love and artless innocence. 'Twas childish love, perhaps, but day by day it grew into our souls as we grew up. Then there was opened in the prospering town a grammar school. Thither went Pauline.
Thither went Pauline.
I missed her and was sad for many a day, till mother gave me leave to follow her. In autumn and vacation she would come with girlish pretext to our cottage home. She often brought my mother little gifts and cheered her with sweet songs and happy words, and I would pluck the fairest meadow flowers to grace a garland for her golden hair, and fill her basket with the butternuts that flourished in our little meadow field. I found in her all I had dreamed of heaven, so garlanded with latest blooming flowers, chanting like the mellow music of our hopes. The silver-sandaled autumn hours tripped by, and mother learned to love her, but she feared, knowing her heart and mind, that one rude hand might break our hopes asunder. Like a thief, I often crept under her father's house, under the evening shadows, eager-eyed, peering for one dear face, and lingered late to catch the silver music of one voice that from her chamber nightly rose to heaven. Her father's face I feared, a silent man, cold-faced, imperative, by nature prone to set his will against the beating world, warm-hearted but heart-crusted. 2 years more thus wore away. Pauline grew up a queen. A shadow fell across my sunny path. A hectic flush burned in my mother's cheeks. She daily failed and nearer drew to death. Pauline would often come with sunlit face, cheating the day of its half-languid hours, with cheering chapters from the holy book and border tales of wizard minstrelsy. And mother loved her all the better for it. With feeble hands upon our sad bowed heads, and in voice all tremulous with tears, she said to us, "Dear children, love each other. Bear and forbear, and come to me in heaven." And praying for us daily, drooped and died.
I think that's the part that has to do. I'm done with this, by the way. I think that's the part that has to do with what I was talking about earlier. I really got off on a tangent there, and that was Hanford Lennox Gordon's 1957 poem, Pauline. Just an excerpt from that. So, yeah, go check that out if you want to read that. And snooze fast, boring. Just kidding, it was really good. You know it was really good. You were bought in. Okay, moving on.
This one's about Spring Valley Road, so we're going to read about that. No matter where you go in the country, there are always legends surrounding Bigfoot sightings. Why should Allegheny County be any different? A hotspot for Bigfoot and paranormal activity can be traced to Spring Valley Road, a 4-mile stretch that takes you through innocent-looking farmland. The Bigfoot scare in Black Creek only lasted for about 3 years, from 1973 to 76, but the stories have managed to put Spring Valley Road on the paranormal map. There's a fun fact here. The first documented Bigfoot sighting was in Sackett's Harbor, New York in 1818. Within 3 years, cabins were damaged and livestock were mutilated. Dogs would chase after nothing, bark viciously, and people would report the sound of footsteps outside of their tents and cabins. Along each sighting came a horrible smell, similar to reports of Florida's skunk ape. No way! This was only adding to the fear that people experienced along Spring Valley Road. At first, witnesses were mostly campers and high schoolers. Eventually, those traveling along Spring Valley Road began to see the humanoids in the surrounding woods and even in their headlights.
I gotta drive down this road, man.
Each experience with the creature is unique, but the descriptions tend to be the same, large and white, and it moves at a terrifying speed. No one knows for sure what these white creatures are. Some think it may be a ghost, while others are convinced it has to be extraterrestrial. Some, however, tend to agree that it's likely an albino Bigfoot. I mean, that's obvious. Come on. I agree with that. Since the mayhem of the 70s, sightings have died down. However, there have still been several Bigfoot sightings in the area, particularly in the 90s. Interesting. One of these sightings took place in Wellsville, less than 30 miles from Spring Valley Road, and the home of the Pink House.
I'll read that one next.
The eyewitness reports walking near River Road along Genesee River when she and her cousin saw a figure that stood almost 7 feet tall, and it was white.
It's basically me.
This white Bigfoot doesn't seem to be specific to Allegheny County. There are reports in other parts of the country, particularly Pennsylvania, that also tell of the white Bigfoot. The white Bigfoot that people see on Spring Valley Road may not be unique to Western New York either. What? No, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's unique to Western New York. But you have to admit that stories surrounding the small road near Route 305 are impressive and have lasted for decades. Yeah, I would agree. The next time you drive along Spring Valley Road, it might be smart to have your high beams on, just in case a Bigfoot decides to cross your path. Oh, and a camera too, because you'd be the first person to capture any physical evidence that the albino Bigfoot of Black Creek actually exists. Experience: cryptid sighting, haunted road, open to the public? Yes. Handicap accessible? Yes.
Reading that Bigfoot story, one thing led to another, and here I am on the BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization official website. This website is a gold mine. There is so much here, so many Bigfoot sightings. I'm definitely going to be revisiting this and reading a lot of these because, holy dude, this is humanity's wealth of knowledge. Pardon me for being a little starstruck at the existence of this website and then just the depth of genuine Bigfoot encounters marked per county, per date. Okay? So we are just going to be reading one of these today, just one because it's kind of a long one, and it's kind of near Western New York, and I don't want to spoil too many of the Western New York ones right off the bat, but this is a good one, and I would love to reapproach this maybe with some friends and read this. So just one for today, and then we're gonna go move on to some other things, but I just thought I would treat my lovely audience of Two-Box broadcast enjoyers to this story. So this is submitted by Todd P. on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2002.
First, let me state I am a college-educated person with 2 degrees, one in psychology and one in fine art. Like many persons who have had this type of unexplained experience, it has made a mark on my psyche that has been permanently etched despite the ridicule poured on me by persons who in fact were not there. Scientifically, one may not deny or affirm the existence of a thing about which we have little information. For instance, in the 1600s, if one were to speak of electricity and television, they would be deemed mad and a witch. Now you read this by just such means as were previously thought nonsense. We know it is fact now. Someday, I believe, this rare ape will present us with irrefutable evidence of its existence, like being a little too slow in front of a Mack truck or something. Enough of that. Here's why you're reading this. In winter of 2001, while surfing the net for images of Western art paintings, the BFRO website popped up with Western New York Bigfoot sightings. I had to laugh. You gotta be kidding me. Then to make it even better, there are these things, listen to Bigfoot, wave sound files to download. So curiosity made me do it. I'm laughing my butt off here. So I hit play. Suddenly, I shut up. I am in shock. My hands begin to shake, and the adrenaline glands almost blew my head off. The sound of the howl is exactly what I encountered one evening the previous September of 2000. So now I play the other scream file. All right, now I'm disturbed. That too I heard within 100 yards of my home that same summer about 5 to 6 times on different occasions. I never had any thoughts about Sasquatch before. This gave me pause. It suddenly gave me a flashback of living near the Tonawanda Creek in upstate New York and seeing a large 12 to 15 foot seeing a large 12 to 15 foot inch barefoot footprint in the snow along the creek riverbank just upstream of the North Pembroke Hotel. Barefoot in the snow? What kind of jerk does that? There were, I believe, 4 of us kids there, but I was about 11 or 12 at the time. We often played in those woods. However, that day we had an uneasy feeling and cut our trip very short and went immediately home. I thought maybe it was a bear track or a hindfoot, although I knew it was way too human. No one even mentioned Bigfoot. It was not something we ever talked about. Now that memory is freaky. And there's more. I now live in the woods and am very comfortable near Allegheny State Park. There are literally thousands of acres of forest surrounding my home. I am comfortable chasing 350-pound black bears out my yard, sitting in the woods and having coyotes walk by, hearing screech owls, etc. This sound was unlike anything I had ever heard. Sometimes at the approach of archery season, I need to convince disrespectful persons that no trespassing actually means them. This night I thought to encounter a coon hunter or whose howling dog was moving towards my position down through the valley. That sound wasn't just right for a... What? That sound just wasn't right for a baying dog, but what else could it be? Now at the time this howling started, it was probably a mile off and at dusk, right when it gets dark. I have the pleasure of having a wolf dog that is not too much... What? Sorry, I keep fucking up. I have the pleasure of having a wolf dog that is not too much pooch, you might say. Great animal, very mellow, even when on walks at night and the coyotes start yapping up less than 100 yards away. He just looks and says, "Punks," and moves on. Nothing phases him. This night, he was like stone, focused on the direction of the long howl. I get the creeps remembering it. Never before or since have I seen him in that state, even in the presence of black bears. His ears were fixed, and I had to drag him under protest back to my cabin. I was afraid that he might attack an expensive coon dog when I confronted the hunter. So now the wolf in the house... Wait, what? So now the wolf is in the house, and I leash up my German Shepherd, grab a spotlight, and a very serious Russian weapon.
What?
Okay. I take off in the direction of this howl, which I can tell is coming toward me, and know there is a field which leads up into the woods near where we should meet. I get about 80 yards in that direction and notice the howling is now going to pass above me in the woods, so I redirect my course for a more appropriate intersection point. Normally my shepherd is pretty bloodthirsty, which I do not encourage, just her nature. Tonight she is cowering between my legs to pull me back home to safety. I'm thinking, wimp dog, and she's really making me angry. I'm looking for the coon hunter's telltale spotlight in the treetops or through the woods, nothing. Meanwhile, I've entered into that thick of the woods, cresting an embankment of about 35 feet above the road. Oh boy, that ain't no dog. What the? Weapons up, laser sight on. This is bad. When you have an attack dog, a nasty weapon with oh so many bullets and a spotlight, which started to go out, thank you very much. You're still scared? You just make sure the safety is off and focus on that little red dot. The thing was traveling at such speed through the woods it didn't seem real. I thought the dog had to be running, but when I heard it from around 120 yards away on the same level, nobody could convince you it was a dog, wolf, coyote. I don't scare easily, and that was terror. Still, I never thought Bigfoot. In fact, I researched all the wolf sounds I could find and none of them matched what I heard the night before. I thought that is why my critter was so interested. I just chalked it up to maybe wolf, a neighbor who's about 85% deaf and a true hermit woodsman, 83 years old, asked me if I heard that howling the other night. This guy could almost sleep through an atomic bomb. Another fellow who is a Korean War vet who saw too much action also told me about his strange howling he heard 2 separate nights. He stated that he initially stayed up one night to see if he could figure out what it was. He said that he could never figure out the noise or creature that made it. Understand that this guy has camped out in a tent or camper in these woods for over 15 years. Frankly, he's seen or heard almost everything around here. Yet another neighbor asked me about the noise. Her first comment was, "It seemed a lot louder than it should have." Now know that she owns a kennel and is accomplished singer-musician. Okay, let's just say she understands acoustics. Incidentally, there is a great deer trail just about where I believe that noisy beast to have traversed the valley. Also noticed a rhythmic hammering as if on a tree in the woods. Sounded like someone building a tree stand, but not the case after investigation. Numerous instances recently, this is June 29th, 2002, about 5 thuds, then in another location 3 thuds, not a woodpecker or human in that area. Came back armed as I had a very creepy feeling in the area. A white-tailed deer wheezed for a constant 15-20 minutes as I returned about 15 minutes after the thuds. I was camoed at this point, downwind, totally dark, and about 150 yards from the deer. Basically, it wasn't me the deer was alarmed about.
That one had me looking out the window, I'm not gonna lie.
That's actually pretty fucking weird, dude.
Oh my gosh, that's like right near where I grew up.
Too.
So that just makes it even creepier for me. Other witnesses is 6 others noted.
It says about 9 p.m. Environment mature, deciduous
Forest, streams,
hills, elevation 16 to 2,300 feet.
that is cool.
And that is my BFRO website entry.
For this episode, there will be more of this in the future. This website fucking rules. You have to check it out.
Moving on, we're going to a different website. I found another one. I was shown another one, and this one is sick as well. This is also Western New York based, and it's just New York, but there is a Western New York like filter kind of thing. So there's this real haunt. Look at this. This is mostly for like haunted houses and that kind of like event, but there is a real haunts section, and they have some real encounters. So I tried to look up like Pink House, but I didn't find anything for the stories I read today. But I did find some kind of relevant ones,
And we're going to be reading those, so stay tuned.
But this is actually not anywhere nearby the road that I was talking about with the, the squash, the skunk ape and whatnot. But this is Sweet Hollow Road, all the way over in, which part. So yeah, here we go. Several ghost legends exist on this road. It sits next to Mount Misery and is
What is Mount Misery? Wait, that's just a place? Okay, we're reading about that next.
It sits next to Mount Misery and is reportedly a site of several tragic events, including a school bus full of kids that skidded off a bridge above Sweet Hollow Road on a snowy day and killed everyone on board. But the 3 boys who died hanging themselves from the overpass... The 3 boys who died hanging themselves from the overpass, the children who were abused and killed while attending a day camp along the road in 1930s, just listing off bodies. The police officer who was shot and killed on this road, and the story of a woman named Mary who got into a fight with her boyfriend, was either pushed out of a car or jumped out and then was hit by oncoming traffic and killed. The tragic events have left spirits behind to haunt the area. Some say if you stop the car under the bridge and leave it on neutral, that your car will be pushed forward. It is believed that the children's spirits who died from the tragic school bus accident who are pushing. That classic. Fingerprints on the back of the classic. Then there's a story of looking up at the overpass while driving underneath to see if the bodies of the 3 boys who hanged themselves. This reminds me so much of Holland Road in Angola. I wonder if that's on here. For the tragic day camp children who were abused and killed, some have reportedly seen spirits of children dressed in 1930s clothing, and in relation to Mary, who died after arguing with her boyfriend. And some say her ghostly image may appear walking along the side of the road or show up while driving down the road for a near-miss hit and then disappear.
Okay, we have some comments.
This one's recent. This is from like 2 months ago. 2/12/26. Doesn't say the username. Interesting. It's just the 2/12/26, 5 pumpkins out of 5. Very scary. I was coming back on the bus with my teammates after my volleyball game. We passed Sweet Hollow Road. All the kids were screaming and the lights went out. People were banging and screaming and saw spirits. My mom got in the car. Accident on the road when she was young. I would go again.
There will be more videos like this. This is so fun.
I thought I was hallucinating. My friends and I used to hang out on Mount Misery all the time. We smoked there, and usually there would be a group of us. At least 2 cars were needed to get there. So one night, about 7 of us were all standing around talking and smoking. I happened to look down the road and saw what looked like 3 faded, grayish-looking people. No features, just tall gray figures.
Aliens! They got gray aliens!
No features, just tall gray figures walking down the road towards us. They were about 100 feet away, and I just stared at them. I thought I was hallucinating, and there was no way anyone else was seeing this, so I didn't say anything. They kept getting closer and closer to us. My friend Dan turned to me and said, "Do you see that too?" I confirmed I was seeing it, and at this point, all of our friends heard and turned to see what we were talking about. Well, it turns out everyone saw them, and we were wordlessly all jumped in the cars and got the heck out of there. Posted 1/7/24. 4 out of 5 pumpkins. Creepy. Me and my friends went to Sweet Hollow Road in groups while my partner was driving my car. It was 6 of us, and we decided to go see Sweet Hollow Road. Me and my best friend had been, but we haven't experienced anything on the road until we left. But that's another story for another time.
Well, okay. I would like to know that story. So, is now a good time?
When all 6 of us went, we drove down the road, and we all felt a heavy energy in the car where we all couldn't breathe, and my partner told us he felt like he wanted to faint because of how heavy it was. And he was the one driving.
There's about to be another tragedy on the Sweet Hollow Road.
I was worried about him. And then the further we went, the energy was gone and we were fine. We had sage to keep ourselves protected from negative energy, okay? Then we turned back around and the energy was heavy again. Then we stopped under the bridge before passing it, leaving the road, and we got out to go to the car. Don't do this. And we kept the car on in case we heard or saw anything so we can run out.
Oh, see? The car's sitting there. It's not neutral, but it's just sitting there.
We kept the car in case we heard or saw anything we can run out. We were inspired by Sam and Colby, so we have a spirit talker apps on our phones to use.
Who is Sam and Colby?
To use if we wanted to hear anything. My partner downloaded it, and we heard my best friend's name and my other friend's name as well. What? Sure, bro. And everyone clapped. We were shocked, and then my other friend, he claimed to have heard something nearby, like as if someone stepped on a twig. Some of us stayed close, but my other friends were looking around. My friend came close to me and told me she saw something by the street sign towards the corner. I at first didn't know what she was talking about, and she couldn't talk and wanted to go back to the car. And then she whispered that she saw something peeking its head out, all black and tall behind the street sign. The next thing you know, I saw 3 bodies across the street, very faint, and vanished. Then within the 5 minutes of being outside, we heard something coming closer, and we all grew silent, and louder it got. We all ran to the cry and locked out our doors and sped off. After that, we turned back. When we made it to school... Wait, what? After that, we turned back, and when we made it to the school, and we made it back in front of the bridge again, and we felt eerie, like we were being watched, and the whole time by something negative. It was an interesting experience, dangerous all at the same time, but I would go back again, and with an even bigger group. Posted 12/21/23.
Right, this disclaimer: New York Haunted House does not endorse or support trespassing to visit real haunts. Before you visit any your local haunt, please make sure you acquire the appropriate permits and permissions and be respectful of privately owned properties. Countless hunters have been arrested, ticketed, and reprimanded by the authorities for trespassing. To avoid this, be sure to get in touch with the property owner before visiting a haunt and respect their hours of operation. Local regulations and rules for visiting all times. I keep going away from the mic and talking over here, and then it's gonna get loud, and then it's gonna get over here, and then it's gonna get loud. Okay, gotta stop doing that.
The grounds of Mount Misery are said to be haunted. It was not only ground that was impossible to farm on, and that the natives claimed as cursed, but it is also where a small mental hospital, sat in the early 1900s.
Where wasn't there a small mental hospital or large in the 1900s?
Its beginning was set on fire after a patient by the name of Mary escaped. She's said to have been buried there. Since that time, reports of paranormal activity have continued to roll in. There are stories of the spirit of children and women calling for help, foul odor emitting from the site, sounds of growling men when no animals were in sight. Wait, growling men? Oh, growling when no animals were in sight, and even the instance of red glowing eyes.
Growling men is scary as fuck. There's growling men.
And even the instance of red glowing eyes and glowing orbs would appear. Okay, what do people have? No comments on this one. Well, and this was posted in 6/30/2016. When was the Sweet Hollow one posted? Oh, only in 2024. 624 days ago.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that there. And that is gonna do it for the
Spooky stories for today.
Actually, after just one more,
I have a little surprise for you. To conclude
our episode for today, we are gonna be reading an excerpt from the book Buffalo View, My Views from the Buffalo News by Larry Beahan. And this is a very cool book.
It's just a whole bunch of this guy's writings that are compiled from many years, and there are some really, really funny ones in here. So I'm going to read one just to close out today, and then I will see you all hopefully next week. I can finish another nice long compilation video like this. And you can tune back into the Two Box broadcast for
Your listening.
Okay, so I picked one out here titled Back to Scout Haven, August 2003. I guess that's kind of our theme for today, is 2000 to 2003. And this is a nice little young man's story of love.
Last summer, 58 years after I first camped at South Haven, I went back for a weekend with my grandson, Alex. In preparation, I pinned my Eagle badge and expected to be filled with nostalgia for campfires, hikes, and songs. But the vision that made the weekend sing was that of a beautiful blonde girl, all tanned and in white bathing suit, rowing to meet me in the middle of Crystal Lake in 1947. The song in my head was one she taught me.
Oh, I had a little chickie and she wouldn't lay an egg, so I poured hot water up and down her leg. Oh, the little chickie hollered and the little chickie cried, and the darn little chickie laid a hard-boiled egg. That song sucks. That was stupid. You're lucky I left that in.
You can have your toasted marshmallows and bugle calls. Let me remember, girls, that the summer I turned 17.
This guy is a dog.
As Alex and I drove through Arcade on our way to Scout Haven, I picked out Jeannie's house. Out at Crystal Lake on Route 98, her family cottage was still there, and a cluster of others across from the venerable Boy Scout camp. The summer of my first trip to Scout Haven, World War II ended. The next trip stands out because Life magazine, for the first time, revealed girls in bikini bathing suits made from about as little as what might be left after the A-bomb hit Bikini Atoll.
What? Maybe this... Did I pick out a good one, guys? Or... Let's just keep going. This guy has mentioned the bikinis multiple times, and we're 3 paragraphs in. That's all I'm saying, okay?
At camp, that issue was more popular than ice cream and Superman comics put together. Next year, I graduated from camper to lifeguard. I have a picture of the waterfront staff bare-chested with our arms folded, fists behind biceps as we tried to look built. Dick Bayer was the only one who didn't have to try. He turned professional wrestler in a few years. Bill Weber, grinning in the picture, claims to have wrestled Dick once. Lefty Diamond used to tease one of the office guys till the guy challenged him to a duel on the dock. Jack McGee, camp director, whose favorite expressions were, "That's not camp talk," and "on the ball or on the bus," must have been fed up. He sanctioned the duel. They both got dunked. Dick Jerome, Lee Podland, and I were all from Troop 98.
Yo, if you're one of these guys, you got more stories, you know where to find me.
Dick became a fighter pilot, which was the other dream of our youth. But we dreamt mostly about those girls across the lake. Of course you did. I swam across once. No girls were home. The waterfront director busted me in the act and gave me extra guard tower duty.
Yeah, what was your intentions there, pal?
Sometimes we'd borrow a canoe in the night and slink across to listen in the dark to music and conversation from the lighted cottages and hope to meet someone.
They're just out there listening. Maybe this story is a horror story after all. Or maybe I'm woke.
Dick got a number and we telephoned the girls. Smart-talking Lee was on the phone for us. He looked at me and said, "Well, Harry here, his shoulders are wider than his hips." I grabbed the phone and took over. Jeannie and I had one date. I hitched into Arcade on the appointed evening. There was a note on the screen door. "Come in and help yourself to a piece of cake. We have gone out for dinner. Back soon, Jeannie." She and I walked over to the show and watched Jane Russell and Howard Hughes Outlaw. We thought it was terrific. At Cub Scout camp this year, Alex and I had a little sunshine and it rained a lot. In the morning there was a canoe in a puddle that had been the parade ground, and I got to tell Alex of the time a flood floated 2 of our waterfront tents away. He and I went swimming, ate in the familiar giant mess hall, and went on a nature scavenger hunt with a Polaroid camera. Then we paddled our canoe across lake. Jenny didn't come out to say hi.
And with that, my loyal 2-box my 2-box broadcast listeners, that is our episode for today. Who is your genie across the lake? And who is your Sasquatch skunk ape in the woods? Let me know in the comments. Type out a story you want me to read. and I probably won't do it.
You can hopefully depend on me having an episode out
Next Saturday for your listening pleasure again, okay? Thank you, everybody.
For supporting this channel, and I love you all, okay?
Hope you're feeling pretty uplifted and spooked from our boy Larry here, and sayonara.